Hello and welcome to Citi TV. My name is Benjamin Iketia. Welcome to this special on a rather sad note, and we are here with some rather sad breaking news coming through all the way from Albania. Ghanaian international and former Levante striker Raphael Dwamena has passed away sadly a few hours ago. He was representing his club side in Albania when the incident happened. So we are here to just give you an update on everything that has transpired so far. Hopefully we can speak to a few colleague journalists who have a few things to say about the man Raphael Dwamena was while he was still here with us. So that's what this is about. My good friend Christopher Nimley is here to do this with us. Chris, you and I have been unplugged from our familiar schedule on radio, and we've been thrust into this. That is the uncertainty of death, and that is the situation Raphael Dwamena has put us all in right now.
Ketia, without a doubt, very, very sad. Like you rightly said, we were on radio doing our usual English Premier League stuff when the news broke. And you could clearly see our moods just went dead. We had to take in some deep breath in order to recover quickly and to be able to be asked to come and do this. And remember on radio, I did say that as a country, I don't think we've overcome or we've gone past the death of Christian Atsu. And I think in less than a year, we have this one too to deal with. It was so sad. And throughout this program, we'll do our best to get Ghanaians to remember the young man, what he actually brought, the services he rendered to Mother Ghana, how effective he was during the days when Akwesi Appiah, who was then the coach of the Black Stars, saw the need to introduce him into the fold. And it's very sad. Look, I think the saddest part of the fact that he's so very young, isn't
He's
it?
28 years.
He's not even 30 years yet.
28 years old.
It is so very young. I think as we go through the program as well, some of us will have serious questions as to why he was made to continue, because this isn't the first time it's happened to him. The history has been there, and one would have thought that those around him, his family, the medics, those who've actually worked with him, and would have thought it wise to get him to quit and then do going. Because look, I know him personally. Our good brother, our senior, Godfred Akoto knows him
very well, almost like a brother to him.
Exactly. He's a young man who took his education very, very seriously, and I just don't know why it was supposedly taught to believe that without football he couldn't have done something else. Because yes, very talented, and there's that enjoyment that comes with doing what you enjoy doing. But at the end of the day, if it is at the risk of your life, I think you will have to be advised appropriately, and then a plan B will have to set in. And for me, look, it is very, very difficult. I'm struggling to put words together to make sense of all these things, because if you've met him before and if you've had that personal relationship with contact with him before, I can imagine by now
how you're feeling.
Akwesi Appiah, who is in Sudan, I'm very certain the news would have gotten to him by now. How devastating he is, and for me, look, it is so sad. It is one of the saddest days in Ghana football, and we'll do our best to show our respect to him and make sure that everybody get to understand what a true gentleman he was. If he didn't get closer to him, we'll try our best to make sure that everybody get to know that he was indeed a wonderful, wonderful gentleman in Kenya.
You speak about him being a really true gentleman, and I mean, what I remember most about Ralph is what a God-fearing person he was. Look, I think that he's one of those guys. He was overly charismatic, and he carried his faith on his sleeve. Because I don't know if you remember, we spoke to an Albanian journalist, Enrico Gabaj. He's from Euronews Albania, and he said something. He said that the little digging they had done in just recent history of Dwamena's life showed that he was sort of in denial about his condition. Yeah. Kept saying that his condition is not as serious, that the clubs that have ruled him out from playing are doing themselves a disservice, that he's fit enough to play and stuff like that. And this raises questions you rightly mentioned, because in 2017 he was on the books of I believe Brighton and Hove Albion. Yeah. Yes, he was on the books of Brighton and Hove Albion. He was on loan for a spell, and that deal eventually collapsed. They were interested in bringing him in. The medicals didn't go too well, and it was basically because of an uneven heartbeat.
Exactly.
That was the first red flag that was raised. It was because of an uneven heartbeat, and so Brighton and Hove Albion decided not to sign Raphael. That move eventually collapsed. He went back to Levante, and he was doing so well. And then the condition showed up again in Levante, and so he was fitted with a defibrillator to control his heart rate. He eventually moved to the Austrian 3rd division, I believe. BW Linz is the club he was playing for, and then he passed out during one of the games. He was resuscitated. He made a full recovery. The doctor then said that the defibrillator that had been fitted in him stopped working.
That's right.
And so he collapsed. Eventually, he made a full recovery. He had a second collapse incident in Austria. The first one was in 2017. Second one was in 2021. Another collapse in Austria. He was diagnosed in 2017. First collapse in 2020. Second in 2021. And then comes today's one. Now, according to our source from Albania, Enrico Gabaj, he said that the incident first occurred in the 24th minute. And Dwamena appeared to be in some discomfort. So he looked over at the medics, sort of to complain. I think it was not viewed as anything serious. And then the game continued, only to be stopped momentarily after that incident because he had just collapsed onto the pitch. Yeah. And then they rushed to the scene to ascertain exactly what was going on. He was rushed to the hospital. A few minutes after that, Albanian police confirmed to Albanian journalists who were present at the stadium where his team, Progozin, were playing, that Raf had passed on. So this is the sequence of events in what's happened. Look, very sad stuff.
When it comes to issues of the heart, for those of us who have a little bit background, because of the little education we've had in the area, issues of the heart are not to be taken for granted at all, because most often than none, is a matter of life and death. And most often, historically, we've happened to lose the person rather to get the person to continue with his life. And I thought, based on the history you have just given, questions would need to be answered. Questions would need to be asked, and correct or proper answers would need to be provided. Just going back to what actually happened today, listening to the journalist that we spoke to on radio, he did say that the thing happened in the 24th minute. There was some form of discomfort. One would have thought that the young man, knowing that history of him and his club, I don't want to believe they didn't know anything of his history, because if you are acquiring the services of one player, of a player to your team,
you get a medical report, and you yourself get the benefits of doing your own medical
as well. So one would have thought that if they knew all of this, was there the need to ask him to continue? Because normally when these things, you will be very lucky if it just sort of remind you a bit. Normally there's no reminder to these things. It comes boom and it takes charge and you are gone. So once there was that little reminder of any form of discomfort, clearly if the medics were on top of their job, they should have quickly asked him to come off the pitch and then quickly attend to him, because it is about stabilizing the heartbeat and not allowing it to beat at the rate and at the rhythm at which it is going, because that is what is causing the discomfort. The moment he starts exerting himself, the heartbeat is like you are exercising. You and I are seated here. Our hearts are beating.
Yeah.
But it is not beating at a certain rate. The moment you begin to exercise and there's that beat, if your arteries and your veins are unable to transfer oxygenated blood properly from your lungs into your system, then there's going to be some form of discomfort.
Just not to cut you, I think for those of you who want to see the incident, so viewer discretion is advised. We have a video of when he passed out in today's game. So like I said, viewer discretion is advised. That's the final game Raphael Dwamena played. So there you have it on your screens there. The game was stopped at this point. I think a couple of people had noticed that he had collapsed in a heap onto the ground. And so the referee was calling the attention of the medics at that point. So this is exactly when the said incident took place. His teammates and the medics rushing to him, trying to give him some sort of resuscitation as and when it happened. So this is exactly how it played out. The ambulance immediately rushed onto the pitch, and I believe he was rushed to the hospital. So those are pictures there of that game between Partizan and Rogozin. So that's the game that he played in, his final game. Ignatia Rogozin, that's the team he plays for, Ignatia Rogozin. He had made 28 appearances this season already. 28 appearances and has scored 20 goals. So
nobody would like to see such a thing happen to anybody. And for me, look, we all do believe in God. Like you rightly said, this young man, his faith can never be questioned.
Yeah.
But I think that there are times where you have to allow the professionals to have their way. Because God all the time works through people. And for the name of the of God to be glorified, it tends to come through people. Looking at this scene, I believe strongly that when he was reminded, if they had taken me off, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are now. If we were listening to Enrico again on air, he said that the thing reminded him. They brought him to the touchline. The medics spoke to him. But once you could clearly see that there was some form of discomfort.
They should have used their discretion.
Discretion. The history is there. You see, there are times where you are to be guided. History had to guide all of us as to what we should do next. Because what we do next is in the present. What we have done is what? Historical. So once he was reminded of the situation, and I'm sure he didn't complain of headaches. He didn't complain of any fracture in bone. He might have told them that I'm not
feeling too good.
I'm not feeling too good in there. So could we please exit or get me to come out so that you run some few tests on me? Look at the timing. From what we have witnessed, it's like everything that needed to be around him was available. Look at the timing of the ambulance.
The medics,
Look at the medics, how long it took. If you were to tell that they got closer to him in less than 10 seconds. Less than 10 seconds. And the ambulance quickly arrived there. And talk about trying to provide him with some form of oxygen just to resuscitate him and bring him back to life and then stabilize the situation before you could clearly see that. I mean, once he went down, that was it. Because when they even turned him, if you look at the video again, when he fell down on his face. So once they turned him over, he was already a gone man. And like we are saying, it is so sad. We shouldn't have gotten here. Enrico did question the medics that got him to be signed by his club side in Albania, because he did tell all of us that this is a 10 million euros player, a player who cost the team 10 million euros. What went into that medical for him to be approved? You ask yourself, you see, when you have teams like Brighton stepping out or deciding not to sign the player because of some medical issues, then whoever picks him up should be wary of the situation. And I'm very sure that is one of the fundamental reasons, if not the main reason, why the man finds himself where he's playing, because he's that good a player.
And you and I know that based on how good Ralph is, mainstream teams will take you on if you have no red flag.
Exactly. They would have gone for him.
Mainstream teams will take you on if you have no red flag.
Because look, he had staying in the Spanish La Liga, in the Championship at the time with Brighton, when Brighton got problems and all that. So he was in the mainstream Europe.
Yeah.
Why did they let go of him?
Playing the Spanish La Liga.
Spanish Liga. Why did they let go of him? And in fact, I remember very well when I think in his first game for the Black Stars, he scored twice.
I was at his first game. I remember seeing Ralph at his first game. I remember seeing him after the game twice.
Exactly.
Such a nice guy, such a humble guy. He was just happy to get going.
That's all.
You know, he was happy to get going. This was an AFCON 2017 qualifier against Ethiopia.
Well.
It was against Ethiopia at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium.
I remember that very, very well.
Yep.
And we're all like, come on, where is this guy coming from? But when you see his physique, very big, very tall.
And these were strikers we were not used to having in
at
Ghana.
All.
So this is very interesting. Coach, I'll come back to you and then we'll continue the talk on Ralph and his trajectory, his Black Stars. He was handed his Black Stars debut by head coach James Kwesi Appiah. Let's have a look at the teams he's played for. So he started out at the Red Bull Academy. Here in Ghana. Players who have played at the Red Bull Academy or come through the Red Bull Academy system include the likes of Lawrence Atizigi.
In fact, that was where I met him. When I took Lawrence, when I took Ati to Red Bull, we met him there. Yep. That was my very first time of seeing him. And I remember very well, when I was leaving, I told him that, please, make sure Lawrence
it's well taken care of.
Is well catered for and is at home. So I remember when he got the call up into the Black Stars, Lawrence was with the team at the time.
Yep.
So when I visited the team, and then I went to Lawrence and I asked Lawrence to call him over. He came over and he and myself spoke. So like I said, very humble, very respectful. He never says a word without using the word, Coach, please, Coach Mipacho, Coach, please, can I do this, can I do this, can I do that? Would you please do this for me? Look, it is sad. Go through his history, Charlie.
Well, let's get the list of the clubs that Dwamena has played for on our screens there. Like I said, he started from Red Bull Academy, and then when he left Ghana, he went straight to the mother club, Red Bull Salzburg in Austria. So Austria is a place he's known very well. He played for Liefering. He played for Austria Lustenau. It was at Lustenau that he started really making a name for himself. He was scoring practically every other week when he was playing with Lustenau, and then eventually moved on to FC Zurich. So you have the clubs there. Zaragoza, he played for Vel BK, played for BW Linz, and then also for Ignatia. So BW Linz is where he had his major heart attack. So he played only 3 games there, and then that contract was abrogated. So like I said earlier, he was diagnosed with the heart condition in 2017. In 2017, he was diagnosed with a heart condition. In 2020, he was fitted with a defibrillator to regulate his heart rate. And then in 2021, he collapsed when he was playing with BW Linz in Austria's lower divisions. And then today as well, playing with Ignatia Rogozin in Albania. Raphael Dwamena has passed away. Very sad there. We'll be getting to the phone lines to talk to one of our colleague journalists. If he's on the line, we'll be getting to him in a bit there. But Coach, yes, we're talking about Dwamena's time with the senior national team, making his debut in 2017 against Ethiopia.
Look, that was a dream. If you are a player and you are a striker and you've been given the opportunity to serve your country, at the very first time of action, you want to leave a mark. You want to get everybody to notice your presence, to see how good a player you'll be. And the moment he was given that opportunity by Kwesi Appiah, he reposed the coach's trust in him. He did extremely very well by scoring twice. One would have thought that as a country, if indeed we were to follow up on the development of some of these boys, we should have kept him in the team. But again, I'm sure this is one of the reasons why, because once the heart issue affected his trajectory at club level, at the national level,
they had to take notice of it as well. They have to take
notice of it and then see whether we could stay away. But in staying away, what was the medical advice given? What was the medical advice given to him? Because he was so good and so young a player that one would have thought that all things being equal, he should have stayed being with the national team. You remember after speaking to the journalists in Albania, he now came back to you trying to find out whether he has ever played for the national team before. And we had to send him that information that yes, he was one time an integral member of the Black Stars. Yeah. You understand? So, look, this heart issue has clearly affected the trajectory of the boy at club level. And like we are saying, and like I've already said, you want to question why he was made to continue. Yeah. Because you remember, there are so many examples. Yeah. Today, Christian Eriksen is playing for Manchester United. Yep. His case is a unique one. If that...
And even people had reservations about him coming back. Exactly. There were a lot of clubs that had reservations about keeping him coming back. And for a team like United to have taken the decision to bring him, don't forget, Brentford gave him the opportunity. Erik ten Hag gave him the opportunity to come and train with Ajax to see how he goes. From Ajax, he came to Brentford in the second half of that season, did so well. United brought him on board, and he's enjoying his football. But again, you can look at players like Muamba. You remember? Fabrice Muamba, Bolton Wanderers.
Of Bolton Wanderers. The moment
the thing happened,
and he was saved from the situation, he was advised not to. Yeah. Our own Sergio Aguero, in recent times, look at the trajectory of Sergio Aguero. From Atletico Madrid to Manchester City to Barcelona. Look at the teams he was playing for. A very crucial member of the Argentine national team. Yeah. But the moment he was diagnosed of the situation, medically, he was advised to quit. And I remember watching Sergio Aguero having gotten the time to play for his dream team. He said, yes, I've played for Atletico, I've played for Man City, I've won the league there. But typical of every South American, you want to play for Barcelona or Real Madrid. And for him, his dream was always to play for Barcelona. Having gotten his chance to play for his dream team, I remember him virtually weeping when he was announcing his retirement from football because
even him to have played all these years, to have achieved all he had. He was hurt that he had to hang up. Quit. I mean, on terms that were not his own.
Exactly. So he left. So again, you want to question that. Look, what was the medical situation around him?
Let me give you more detail. Right, like I said, diagnosed in 2017. In 2020, the defibrillator was fitted into his chest. Now, it allowed Levante basically to monitor his heart rate in real time. They were able to keep an eye on him in real time. And then he left and went to a club called Vale Bowl Club. Now, Vale Bowl Club, while he was with them, realized at a point that the readings were too high.
That's right.
His readings were too high. And so they withdrew him from all team activities as a result. Now, he left the club shortly after that. So for Vale Bowl Club, he made 5 appearances and scored twice. And then they withdrew him from all team activities. And then he went to BW Linz. Now, BW Linz is where the collapse happened. So BW Linz also had him play. He played just 3 matches.
And then he collapsed after that.
And he collapsed. So he collapsed in his third game. And that was the end. They decided to part ways as player and organization until he eventually found himself a new club in Ignatia Rogozin. Now, Ignatia Rogozin, he played quite a number of matches. He played 28 matches for Rogozin and scored 20 goals. And so that's been the trajectory of Dwamena up until this point as we speak. So those are some of the issues you have there on your screen. So was diagnosed with a heart condition in 2017, suffered from a relapse in October 2021. Linz terminated his contract in 2021 due to heart problems. He collapsed and died during game between Ignatia and Partizan. So there you have it there. So Raphael Dwamena's issues well documented.
Nketia, looking at this history, looking at it, if those around him were on top of the job, I don't think he should have continued playing after the first collapse. Because if you look at the teams that where he was,
and then where he went,
and where he went to.
Yep.
Come on, man, how much money was he making? And
I think for him,
nothing was more valuable
than his life.
Nothing was more valuable than his life. And look, the interview you had with Enrico clearly stated that. You could clearly see that he never made swears.
Yeah.
Who were those medics that approved him or that told the whole
Albanian
football that he was medically fit
to play,
to continue? This is a player who has got the history. After 3 games elsewhere or somewhere, his contract got terminated. Why would Brighton just decide not to sign him on? He was on loan there. The move, without a doubt, would have been made permanent. It was when they realized that he had issues with his heart. That was when Brighton stepped out of the move and said, no, we cannot take on this, because the risk was always there. And I do believe that as a family, what were they telling him?
Yeah.
Was there nobody in the family who could have said that, look, young man, these conditions will never remind you. Normally, when they strike, you're gone.
Yep.
You've been diagnosed once, you've collapsed once, you've collapsed twice. There shouldn't have been a third time.
Yeah.
There shouldn't have been a third time. Clearly, you could clearly see that if there was a third time, we're going to lose it. And if you look at the video we just saw, the third time has ended all of us here. We could have prevented this. This could have been prevented from happening. It is so sad that we are losing such a young boy at age 28. Look at him. He's so young. So young. He could have developed another career in something else. That I am so sure and certain about. But we find ourselves in a situation where we are mourning when we least expect to do so. Look, you can imagine what the family is going through as we speak. Could they have influenced the decision for him to continue or not to continue playing football?
I'm sure these are questions that we'll probably have answers to
because
in the coming days.
If such a person is in my family, I would have told them, look, based on proper advice, let's get him to quit. Look, it is so sad, because at the end of the day, I think what we need to go into, we need to find out whether he had a child or something like that. You see, when such things do exist, look, I sit here today, whatever decision I take, my wife and my 3 daughters, fundamental.
Everything revolves around
I live my life practically because of them.
Yeah.
Practically because of them. So at the end of the day, if you look at how important you are to the family, somebody should have told the young man that, look, and you could have done so by using practical examples. Sitting in studio here, we've spoken about what Kun Aguero, we've spoken about what Patrice Mwamba, we've used
Marc-Vivien Foe. One of the most famous incidents of a heart or a cardiac arrest on the pitch.
It took the whole world by storm.
Yep.
It took the whole world by storm. Marc-Vivien Foe. So there are litanies of examples that could have been used to tell Dwamena, the family. And look, the reason why I'm emphasizing on the family is that some of these decisions comes down to that.
Yeah.
It has to be a family decision. Yes, that is your talent, but we cannot lose you. So let's.
You are more important to us.
Your life is more important. It's more precious than getting you to play football. You could have, if he still wanted to stay in touch with football. I mean, there are other aspects of the game that will get you to enjoy the game. Could have taken on the coaching call, an agency calls where FIFA will acknowledge it, and then you run yourself decently in a more subdued manner. That won't put any form of pressure.
You know what's interesting, right? Our very good friend Stark Soti is very good friends with Ralph, and for the longest time I was trying to get Stark to arrange an exclusive interview with Ralph because basically I wanted to get an understanding of where his mind was, because when he was first diagnosed, he had just basically exploded into stardom.
Yes.
He was doing really well on the club side. He had been handed his debut Black Stars call-up. He had scored twice. And then not too long after that, he was hit with the heart diagnosis. I remember that summer transfer window, we were all expecting that Dwamena was going to go to Brighton and Hove Albion. The move kept delaying, and then eventually Brighton said that they were not going to go ahead with the transfer. I remember really well. So, I mean, just purely from what I have known from watching him, I think that it was a hard pill to swallow.
Very, very.
Having noticed the trajectory he was on, and then all of a sudden that trajectory was cut short because of an emerging or a medical condition that had emerged. And so there were those who would tell you that Ralph was determined to continue playing.
Yeah.
He knew that there were dangers associated with playing, but he also trusted that modern medicine, and like I said, an ICD had been implanted into his heart to monitor his heart rate, the same one Christian Eriksen currently has now. He was sort of trusting that modern medicine would do him justice, but it looks like medicine, science, like everything else in this world, has its own limitations, and so this is quite tragic. I wouldn't even lie to you. This is quite tragic, and like I'm saying, for those of you who are watching us, we were basically doing something else on radio, running English Premier League commentary, and then this news came through from Albania, and we had to basically stop everything and bring you the big news. So that's the big news coming through. Ghana international Raphael Dwamena has passed away at the age of 28. Former Red Bull Academy product, played for Red Bull Salzburg. That's where he went to when he first left Ghana. Represented Liefering, represented Levante Football Club, represented FC Zurich, represented quite a number of teams out there, and then Progozin, which is his current team, or which was the current team he was playing for in Albania. Played for BW Linz in the Austrian lower divisions. He collapsed while he was playing for BW Linz in his third game, and from there the team decided to remove him from all playing activities. And today, while playing for Ignacia Progozin, he collapsed and died a few hours after. So that's the big news that's coming through on Raphael Dwamena. There you have the clubs Dwamena has played for, quite a number of teams in the past few years. So big news, sad news for the Ghanaian football fraternity. For those of you who know Raphael Dwamena personally, I believe that this will be a very bitter pill to swallow. We ask that God himself keep you guys in these difficult times. I'm sure that his family is going through a very, very tough time as things stand now, and so I'm still trying to process.
Charlie,
I'm still trying to process this.
He's too young.
This is pretty tough.
He's too young. He looks so strong, so healthy.
This is tough
to have just left us just like that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to a medical condition, a condition that personally I do believe could have been handled in a completely different way. Yes, he wanted to play. Yes, he had every belief. His faith told him that it's something he could see through. But at the end of the day, there are times where you have to be a bit real and bit humble about certain things and move on. So, and I think that he should have, those around him should have told him that, look, you've been lucky twice. Practically, it will be extremely difficult to be lucky the third time. So, look, we are all down. I'm completely devastated.
Yeah.
From here, I'm going to see
Asamoah the Baby Jet has just basically tweeted about Raphael Dwamena. Very sad. Let's get to the phone lines and let me talk to a colleague of mine, ATU Tamales, works with Asase Radio. ATU, good evening wherever you are, and welcome to Citi TV.
Thank you, Ben, for having me in these difficult times for all of us.
Yeah, I'm basically hanging in here at this point, but you and I worked on stories and events and games that Dwamena participated in. I had the privilege to watch him during his Black Stars debut. What do you remember of Dwamena, and how are you even taking all of this information in? Because this is a lot to take in just out of the blue.
It's been a crazy day for me. I personally had to put my hands into the ground today, so being a mix of emotions, and even before I recover from that, you get hit with a story like that. And for me, I'm devastated. Devastated because of what I know Dwamena could have been, what Ghana could have had in terms of a servant to the nation.
Yeah.
And what he himself could have made for himself in his career. Because if you think back to the moment all of these health conditions or problems started, you can only conclude that, look, some things maybe are just not meant to be, because it is heartbreaking to have the kind of talents that Raphael Dwamena had and the personality to go with, and then all of that really does not bring in any value, does not bring his country any value because of a condition that he absolutely had no control over. And for me, it's just a question of what could have been, a matter of what could have been, but for all of these unfortunate health implications.
Atu, just a quick one. I mean, did you ever meet Dwamena personally? What was he like if you did? And if you even met him from afar, what inkling did you get? You just did mention that he was such a great personality. What was your personal relationship like with him?
I think the closest any of us, apart from his inner circle, got was when you would meet him in the mix zone. I think when he made his debut at the Barbara Sports Stadium, I think in 18 September, if I'm not mistaken, 2017.
2017, yep.
Yeah. A lot of us had the sense that this was a seminal moment, much in the same way that Stephen Appiah made his debut, came on for the legendary Abedi Ayew, and people later came to realize that that was a passing of the torch moment. Raphael Dwamena making his debut on the occasion of Asamoah's 50th game for the Black Stars of Ghana, or 50th goal, I beg your pardon, for the Black Stars of Ghana, for me, looked like a passing of the torch moment, because he came on, scored a brace of goals.
It really did. It really did.
But beyond the 2 goals that he scored on Jan's 50th goal occasion, there was the presence of mind, there was the instinct, there was the movement of the ball, there was his anticipation and his ability to read space and move based on his anticipation of what he thinks is going to happen, but also the personality that he had showed. Because, and for every journalist who had that brief encounter with him in Kumasi, and I think maybe the one other game that he got called up for the Black Stars, this was someone who took to life in the national team like a duck rolled to water. Never looked out of place, even though he had never played any of our youth teams for Ghana. He was not one of those players you could raise questions about his appreciation of the ethos and the character of the team, in the sense that he was born with a personality, he was born with a character, and so he slotted in seamlessly. And because of a certain attitude that he carried, his behavior was very consistent with all of the ideals that we expected from a Ghanaian player in the national team. And if you look back to the period preceding the AFCON 2017 call-up, you can only conclude, and that for me is where the heartbreak comes from, because he was on the cusp of being the bona fide replacement for Asamoah.
He was.
I think a year before he made his debut, he had scored 18 goals in 20 for Australia Luster now. And then in the year that he made his debut, he had scored 12 goals in 20 for Lefring. But we all know the circumstances that led to him missing out on the Black Stars AFCON 2017 squad, the one that Abraham Grant assembled. Look, if you, and I would encourage listeners to do a quick search and look through the players that got picked ahead of him, and it could not have been for footballing reasons. At the end of the day, that is once again the unfortunate situation that today has claimed his life, that made it impossible for him to be called up or to join the national team, because you simply could not overlook the health implications and the risks that were associated with calling him up and potentially even fielding him, knowing his history, because the issues were surfacing at the time. And the country needed a replacement for Jan. They needed an understudy and someone who could also at the same time give them competition. Look, we went to the AFCON in 2017 with Ebenezer Assefa, who at the time was playing for Sion. Jordan Ayew was at Aston Villa. He wasn't scoring. Bernard Petete at Schalke was not your out-and-out centre forward. So in terms of personality and stylistically, the closest you would come to finding a replacement for Jan was Raphael Dwamena. But unfortunately, no matter how good he was, his health meant that the handlers of the national team had to decide otherwise, because the risk was too serious. And that is perhaps one of those situations where you would have to applaud the medics at the national team for what they saw and the maturity with which they handled it. They didn't really release information that would tarnish his reputation or release chance of getting opportunities elsewhere, but also ensure that the relevant constituencies in Ghana football, in case the journalists, understood where this decision was coming from. And within 4 months or 5 months of the Black Stars decision, we had the first bad news from Brighton and Hove Albion when he filled that medical. So look, in terms of personality, he's as good as they come. And unfortunately for him, and unfortunately for Ghana, we missed out on a great player because of a situation or a condition that not even the medics could save him from. Because I remember the first scare all of us had was when even playing or when wearing the defibrillator, he still had a heart problem while playing a football match in 2020. And that for me was perhaps the clearest indication that, look, this is not meant to happen for him. And I think, just to conclude, we spoke to Dr. Prince Sambo in 2019, a year before that defibrillator incident happened. And he, at the time, I think, had served as the head of the medical committee at the Ghana Football Association and a personal team doctor for the Black Stars. And he advised that if it is possible, that a young man retire because of his personal assessment of him and his appreciation of conditions like that and the risks that are associated with deciding to persevere or to continue with playing. So may he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. And Atu, thank you very much. Like I said, we are still in the process of processing what has just happened, losing Raphael Dwamena. Just take it easy yourself. I know it's a difficult time, so take it easy yourself, and hopefully we'll catch up later.
Most definitely, brother. Thank
you very much. So ATU Tamales, a colleague sports journalist, their coach, ATU, I believe, has basically laid all the facts bare.
Yeah, exactly. He's confirmed what I've said from the beginning of the show, that look, it was clear that he should have stopped. And I quite remember, I even forgot, but Achu has reminded me of Dr. Pambo, one of the very best medics, professional medical doctors we have in the country. And at the time, he was the
team doctor.
The team doctor. And I remember he did say that, look, if he can put his profession on the line, if he was given the chance to speak to the young man and completely advise, his advice would be simple.
You need to stop playing.
He needs to stop playing. And I remember very well, the way it was managed was absolutely brilliant. That is why I'm saying that these were technical advice that were not only given to the young man, but it was given to the family. And it was given to everybody. Anybody who was closer to him knew of this medical situation. So at the end of the day, yes, maybe what I don't know for sure, whether the family externally, everybody depended on him and therefore he's forced to continue playing the game. But look, at the end of the day, nothing was more valuable, was more precious than his life. Now that we've lost him at this very early age of the life, if there was something that 28, if there was something that he was doing, who was going to do it? So look, it's so sad, it's so difficult. You're trying to put words together in order to let people, viewers, understand who he was as a player. And for those of us who had a chance to speak to him personally, I mean, we knew how humble he was and the dedication he had for Mother Ghana. He was always ready. I remember very well one of the chat I had with him at ATU was like, look, this is an opportunity. ATU had gone through the ranks. He's played for under 17, under 20, and then the Black Star. But he didn't get a chance to play for under 17 and the under 20. So when he told me, he said, look, everybody in his appointed time. He was not meant to serve Ghana at the under 17 and under 20 level. His time is to go straight into the Black Star. So it was something that he was very committed to. And we remember when he was not taken to the AFCON in 2017. I mean,
a lot of questions were raised about it.
But later, when we hinted as to why that decision was taken, you couldn't stretch the issue any further. And for me, I remember very well that I spoke to people very closer to the team, spoke to Dr. Pambo and one or two other people, and said, look, in the interest of the young man, that is the best. You want people to go and serve your country. But what you really don't want to do is to put their life
in danger.
So that decision was meant not to endanger the young man, but to preserve and then make him stay as a living being. But of course, he was bent on playing football, and the football too will ensure that there's lots of pressure, there's intense
He was a great footballer.
Look, we just saw some
of the goals he scored.
Look at how strong and big and powerful he was. Imagine very healthy, no heart issues. Clearly, that was the baby jet replacement right there. A replacement that we are struggling to have.
Talking about the baby jet, the Ghana Football Association, they have just tweeted about him. So I'll just read out that tweet to you right now. They say that our thoughts are with the family of Raphael Dwamena at this difficult time. Raphael represented Ghana wholeheartedly and paid his dues to the country until his unfortunate passing. We will forever miss him for his dedication to the national cause. Rest in peace, Raphael. So that's what's going on. He's currently trending #1 on Twitter. Unfortunately, trending for all the wrong reasons. Like I said, the Albanian Football Association have also just tweeted acknowledging the passing of Raphael Dwamena. So Dwamena's Football Association, the Football Association where that governed the league he was playing, have confirmed. So that's what's going on. I'm trying to see if there are some more tributes that are pouring in for the young man. But for those of you who are just joining us, the sad news is that Ghanaian international Raphael Dwamena, who once played for Levante, FC Zurich, Lustenau, Liefering, BW Linz, has passed away after collapsing during a league game in Albania. Now his club, Progozin, were playing a game against Partizani, and that's when the incident happened. So there you have the Ghana Football Association tweet on your screens there. The Ghana Football Association acknowledging the passing of Raphael Dwamena, a man who played for the national team. He made 9 national team appearances. He scored twice in that time in the national team. Very, very sad incident there. Very, really sad. I'm still trying to process this right now. Again, I remember that incident. So what happened was when he scored his 2 goals, you know how journalists are. We want a story no matter how it goes down. We had to go to the hotel in Kumasi. I think they needed to have team dinner. They needed to meet with their family. So some of us waited up until just about even 1 a.m. to talk. And I remember he had an inscription on his shirt. It had something to do with he's who he is because of God. I think he showed it when he scored his 2 goals, and he was wearing it back at the team hotel as well. And if you talk to Ralph, if you know anybody who's close to Ralph, like I say, he is such a charismatic person. He is such a strong Christian. He always went onto the pitch. He would pray before he'd go onto the pitch. He would raise his hands in acknowledgement of God whenever he scored. He had inscriptions under his t-shirt to acknowledge the God that he worshipped. he was a very prayerful guy. You know, the kind of guy who would go to all nights and like be in like group, meetings with
Committed to the things of God.
Committed to the things of God generally, really. Yeah. So it's one of those really sad days, because this is somebody who perhaps he might have had his own fears, but again, he was determined to continue doing what he loved most. He perhaps didn't want to accept that this was the end of the road for him. I mean, if it was indeed the end of the road, imagine he died at age 28. He was diagnosed first in 2017. 2017. He had literally just taken off. His career had literally just taken off when he was diagnosed with this heart issue. So really, really sad for us here. We believe that tributes will continue to pour in as the days go by. A book of condolence will probably be open at his family house. We'll be bringing you updates on this particular situation as and when they come through. Like I said earlier, to the family of Raphael Dwamena, we say, take heart. This is a hard pill to swallow. These are difficult times for you as a family. The whole nation is behind you, really. The whole nation is behind you. I'm sure that some friends and family or footballer friends have already started even trooping in to lend the necessary support to his people. Coach, I'll leave you. I'll let you have a few final words, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. You want to ask God to preserve his soul wherever he finds himself. May the good Lord ensure that he rests in perfect peace. Our condolences to the family. If he left behind a wife, a child, we pray that God, in his own way, will continue to be the father and the husband to them all. May the soul of Raphael Dwamena rest in perfect peace. It's a bit difficult, but it is what it is.
Difficult times there. So you heard Coach Christopher Nimley. He says that may the soul of Raphael Dwamena rest in perfect peace. I say that he was such a gentle soul, fierce striker. He literally had the world in front of him. He burst into the limelight at such an early age, was primed for greatness, really. And then he was diagnosed with that heart condition in 2017. Decided to soldier on, went to Austria, went to Albania, and then today we had the sad news that while he was playing, he collapsed and passed away shortly. Very sad news, really sad news. We'll be bringing you updates on Raphael Dwamena and everything concerning him in the coming days, and so you should stick with Citi TV for everything regarding this particular story. Very, very sad turn of events, but this is where we'll leave you for now. My name is Benjamin Nketi. I did this with Coach Christopher Nimley. ATU Tamales also joined us on the phone lines. A very big thank you to all the technical staff that have helped to make this happen. We'll take leave of you for now, and bye-bye.